Well, here with me to discuss some of the issues, challenges and successes of Nigeria at 64 are former members of the House of Representatives, first political activist and former presidential aide Usman Bugaje, and Gebi, who is also a special advisor to the Chief of Defense Staff on non-kinetic operations and National Coordinator Security Governance Initiative. He was also a former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Internal Security. Gentlemen, good to see you both and happy Independence anniversary. Let's just set the tone. The administration claims to be winning the war on terror and banditry. Over 300 Boko Haram and bandit commanders have reportedly been eliminated in the past year. You're in charge of the non-kinetic operations unit at the CDS office. Help us make sense of that aspect of the president's speech, Gebi, when you heard about those successes, which some of our respondents earlier said, well, it still looks like a drop in the ocean.
Well, thank you very much, and happy Independence Day. And I think it will be unfair to dive into this conversation without praying for the repose of the souls of Nigerians lost citizens, as well as military and defense and security operatives in the last 1.5 years. The speech did have some high notes, but I'm no economist, so I'll stick to what I know, which is security. This is the first time we're having a very coordinated response to insecurity, where we have mission specifics. And you heard in what the Chief of Defense Staff said, that Turji is now a target. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria where we have mission specifics, targets painted on specific individuals. And it's as a consequence of that you are witnessing the fact that quite the top layer of the leadership have been knocked off one after the other. And this is largely thanks to the new conductor of the security orchestra. When you have a 250-piece orchestra, there's always one conductor. And the symphony that will be produced is largely reliant on how well the conductor conducts. And the conductor of the security architecture for this melody, of course, is the National Security Advisor to the President. And he must be congratulated. Then, of course, the tip of the spear, the military. And it would also be unfair to talk about the military in only the kinetic component of knocking these guys out. We saw what happened in Maiduguri, the unfortunate flooding in Maiduguri. We saw our military come to bat the same way that the militaries of the United States and other countries we look up to would have come. We should congratulate our military, the Defense Headquarters and all the armed forces for the response capability as demonstrated. And there's also another part that we should also look at to show that Nigeria is actually evolving. We had amphibious vehicles. So if we talk about procurement, how we have evolved from buying the wrong things to buying the right things, if we had not bought the right equipment, those trucks, those heavy equipment would have been static, and then Nigerians would have continued lambasting the military. So congratulations to the Defense Headquarters and congratulations to, of course, the NSA. In terms of the security terrain, we're in the consolidation phase. Boko Haram has been degraded by 82%. I'm being specific here, 82%. ISWAP by 75%. None of them has the capability of mounting large-scale attacks, which they had about 2.5 years ago. That is a huge success. What needs to happen is to ensure that this does not roll back. It should not go back to where it was, or we begin to slide back the scale. Then the Northwest, of course, we are seeing with the new renewed vigor of the military and the charge led by the Defense Headquarters, where we now have a harmonization of all operations as an active theater. I think the name of the operation is now Fansang Yamma, freedom liberating the Northwest. So we can now see a concerted effort of all efforts geared towards specific objectives. So where before you had a smattering of efforts, now you have a consolidation, and it is because of that that we're seeing recording the successes that we're recording.
Okay, Gebi, let me bring in Usman Bugaje. Good to see you. And you know, the administration acknowledges current economic challenges, including rising cost of living and unemployment. How soothing is this for the everyday Nigerian you speak with?
Well, let me also make a statement on the issue of security, because all these things are inextricably linked to each other. And I think it's important that while I don't doubt the fact that there are people within the military structure or within the security architecture that are making serious efforts, but the whole fight against terrorism and banditry is a big scam. And I don't want anybody to just continue repeating the same kind of thing we have had in the last 1 decade without any substantial progress. There are large portions of this country where you can't farm, you can't go, you can't. Yes, there are efforts, but please let us tell those who are doing this that we know that this is a big fraud. And if you are not prepared to address that element, we'll continue to come back next year with the same story, with the same percentage, with the same kind of thing, as if we're some stupid fellow somewhere just simply kept there and being told lies all the time. So please, let's get serious about these things. Yes, if there are new efforts, let us see the fruits on the ground. I really feel angry, that government comes out and start, issuing out statistics that are completely different from what we, the citizens, are seeing on the ground. Let me go into this issue of economy. I really, Christian, can't understand why we continue this ritual. Every 1st October, we do the kind of evaluations and we realize the problem and nothing really positive happens. If anything, every 1st October comes with more regrets, comes with more serious problems, comes with the deepening of the crisis that we've been struggling with. And I think it's time to start asking questions. Are we really independent? Is this democracy really working? What progress are we really making? I mean, look at the value of the naira. Look at the prices of petrol. Look at the way 15 trillion of public funds were taken without processes, taken to build a road that nobody has even heard about until the contract was awarded. I mean, a country that is facing these problems of this magnitude, and an administration that is doing the kind of things it's doing, and it has no regret, and nobody is answering the question, how did this contract be? How was this contract awarded?
I started off because we've been able to look at the script and talking about the text of the president's speech earlier, and I started off by saying that the administration acknowledges the current economic challenges. In other words, what you're saying, they know already, and I'm asking, how soothing can that be for someone like you or the everyday Nigerian? It's not as if they haven't said they're unaware.
We don't want acknowledgement. We also acknowledge. We want action. Why are they there? Why have they been elected? What all these resources in their hands that they are playing with, buying vehicles, buying planes, what are they for? And you are telling me that they acknowledge? Are they elected to acknowledge the fact that things are bad? You are there to correct them. You are there to fix them. If you can't fix them, get out of the way. Don't start saying acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. What acknowledgement? What do we gain from acknowledgement? We want action.
Well, I think, when we come back, we'll patient on this because the last time we checked, we're still in a democracy, and the only way is for the people to actually effect change through the ballot. And I'll like Gebi, when we come back, to talk more on some of the key issues he raised on security matters. Stay with us here on News 9. We'll be back shortly. Well, I still have my guest here with me on News 9, Usman Bugaje and Aliyu Gebi. Gentlemen, well, you heard the people, and earlier on, before those other two reports, Bugaje spoke about the economy and security. Let's bring in Gebi. He says he thinks that the president's acknowledgement of the shortfall in some of the key things to be done is inexcusable. And he says he's in the north and it doesn't tally with what he sees on the ground. Gebi.
Well, I'm also in the north, and what I said tallies with my own reality. But someone else's reality can be their own reality. I'm from the northeast. I have been a victim of this war. I have the indices from the beginning up to this point, so I know if we're improving or if we are deteriorating. So I'm not speaking or bringing out phantom statistics. But we have a very dishonest elite, frankly speaking, very, very dishonest. Whenever they lose out in the political sharing of the cake, they become philosophical, they become Socrates, they want to say this and that and this. But let's be absolutely honest when we're speaking. My very senior colleague, very revered senior brother mentioned the coastal highway. As a very ranking member of the National Assembly, who was there ever before I even conceived a career in politics, why did we not lobby the National Assembly to do the right thing, to stop it, or to bring in the proper oversight mechanisms that should have been in place? We are all talking as if there's only one arm of government in Nigeria. There isn't. And this government, this Bola Ahmed Tinubu, let me be frankly clear. I may not be a fan of the individual, but I'm a fan of my country. And this is the president that I have at this particular point in time. And as a patriot, I will give my blood to ensure that this country moves, even if it costs my death.
But that doesn't mean that Bugaje has no right to tell.
No,
you
tell
you what he sees
He absolutely does. But if he hadn't, he's asking about my own statistics, and I'm telling him my own statistics, and I respect his own statistics. But for the first time, we have a president who was a former governor, vice president, former governor, senate president, former governor, secretary to the government of the federation, former governor, ministers as former governors. What has changed to the extent that we are unable as an elite to tell ourselves the truth? We have a chief of staff to the president as a very ranking member of the National Assembly and former speaker. So we have all the tools. What is missing? In my opinion, what is missing, apart from a national identity and a national cause, is the fact that the elite, the political elite, and including the president himself, we are unable to manage the expectations of those who bring us into power. That's all. And we do not communicate to our people. We talk at our people. We feel like talking to our people is a privilege. Talking to them is something that we do when we want to do it from the comfort of our homes and our offices. That is our own dilemma. The unfortunate thing is, even the good things that we are recording, we are not communicating them properly. And there are many, many good things happening. Yes, there are bad things. For example, if I were to advise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we don't need a youth confab. Perhaps we should have a confab of disgruntled politicians who have lost out. Let them come and tell us how we should run Nigeria. But the fact of the matter remains, at 64, are we doing too badly? I like to say this, absolutely not. Should we be better? Could we be better? Absolutely. But we are not doing as badly as we would like to think we are. And the security in the Northeast and in the Northwest is improving. So say the people at the grassroots of these societies.
Let me bring in Usman Bugaje as we wind down. It's getting a little bit confusing for some people watching you, both of you, coming from the same northern Nigeria, talking about security. On the one hand, for Gebi, he thinks that, well, your analysis of what is on ground is completely different from what he holds. Speak to us more on what your findings are, and also speak to the reports you saw earlier about people talking about Nigeria's economic situation.
Well, I don't want us. I don't want this program to be a debate between myself and Honorable Gebi. If we want to do that, we can find a better place to do that. I think this is a place where we should be discussing where the country is. We are doing some form of evaluation. We are doing some form of reflection, and we are making our own assessment. The problem we have is that there are no standard metrics for measuring progress. And because there are no metrics, there is a lot of subjectivity. And you can, everybody's figures or ideas would be as good as any other person's. And I think this is part of the problem, you know, of the society itself, that we have not generated standard metrics. In many parts of the world, in many countries in the world, they have develop standard metrics that everybody agrees. So when you come to evaluate governance, you have metrics that everybody agrees with. This country doesn't seem to have one, and therefore everybody can say what he wishes. And when you talk about progress or no progress, one way to look at it is to look at our peers. Brazil, for example, In the 70s, I think 76 or thereabouts, we had Defense Industry Corporation. Our Defense Industry Corporation, based in Kaduna here, was until recently producing only furniture, while Brazil had produced MiG jet fighters, submarines, and so many other things. Look at Malaysia. Look at South Korea. South Korea, in the 60s when we got our independence, it was declared the second poorest country in the world. But within 30 years, it was already at the cutting edge of technology. It's producing LG products, producing Kia, producing Samsung, producing Hyundai, producing so many other disruptive technologies. So the point is, if we don't have a metric, there is no point to even go ahead to discuss. But my feeling is that, I have not seen the progress. I have not seen the progress, especially the last 25 years. When you look at the statistics, even from the National Bureau of Statistics on poverty, what I've seen is that this country every year is getting poorer and poorer and poorer since the last 25 years. So ask yourself, what is the use of all this democracy if we cannot? If you go back to the Constitution, when people get to political office and take their Quran or Bible to swear, they swear by the Constitution, right? The Constitution has made it very clear that the essence of governance is simply the security and welfare of citizens. Where is the security? Where is the welfare? Where is the empathy? Where is the sense of consideration? Where is even the sense of shame?
Well, I think it looks like, as you said, this conversation cannot be exhausted here. We do hope that in the spirit of Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary, gentlemen will share on these issues, the twin issues of economy and security. I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, Usman Bugaje and Gebi, former lawmakers and, of course, experts in those two fields.